Hello explorers and welcome to another video. Today we are going to talk about Docker containers, web, Apache, PHP, and also gonna touch on doing things asynchronously. So let's switch over to my development environment here and I will talk to you about what I wanted to accomplish. So I have this idea of creating a web application, and they wanted me to write something for a customer that actually you could send work to, and then it did the work and replied back. But they also wanted it to be asynchronically. So they just wanted it to work if you sent in one thing and got one result back, but you can also send in a batch work and then they can ask for the reply back later on. And that went not that great for me because I was not able to actually get the cron job working reliably when I was working on this. So that was what I had a lot of struggles. I put at least a day into that. And if we go over to, for instance, my Docker file here, you see that this Docker file is pretty large. There is a lot of things in it. But I actually just started with the first thing here. I wanted a PHP environment with Apache. And that was all that I needed. And in the first implementation, they just wanted an API that I sent something to and got the reply back. And in this index case here, I have something that works on something. And the important part was the environment, because they had some secrets that I should not know about. That is something that they supply and makes the application work in the production environment. So I needed some environment that could give me some keys and some data that they supplied. And I thought that, okay, having something that could get an environment here, and I also had something that I could turn on and turn off that gave me a insight in how the cron job was doing. So I created this debug API call that just gave me the log of the cron, so I could see how actually is this performing and what happened in the cron job, because I had a lot of problem to actually get the cron job to work. And if we look at this environments list here, so this is what I pushed into this one. I wanted username and password, so I had some username and some super secret password, and those I wanted to retain through the process. So there's a little bit of the setup. And in order to get this to work, you need, for instance, a Docker cron job. So I have this cron job here. It runs every minute. It runs this cron SSH, and it gives me everything into the log so I can see, does anything go wrong? Because I didn't want to miss any information. And you also need to have at least one more line in order for a cron job to work. So I put in this little hash mark here, another line. The cron job is also very simple, and this line should be commented out. It's just a bash script, and then we have this little thing that runs sudo and keeps the environment. And that's not important either anymore, but I can tell you about that later. And also the background job, and then into the cron job. And you see these extra fixes I had here. First, I had something that exported all the things that were in this container environment file into the environment. And I also had this flag E to keep the environment that was exported there, because I wanted to push it through. And when you create and set up the environment, you get the environment in. So if we have this start script here, I have something that builds the actual Docker container. And then when I mount it and run the mount command here, I put the environment file into that Docker container. So when I start it, I will get the environment into the script, and I also had a cleanup here so I can run this over and over again. So this is more of a debug script. It's not something that they will run because they will have some orchestrator like Kubernetes or something like that that they will run it with. But this start script was just for my development. So I had some things that were going on here, and I had a script in this prepare environment that pushed everything into this container environment here. And then I could pick that up and use it. So I tried so many things in order to get this to work, but I had a hard time to actually get the environment variables to switch over. The background job is very simple. I have this type out the environment information, and a while there I actually implemented a full script to read this file on disk and pick up the username and password, and also get this environment picked out and push that to the environment flag. So I had tried so many different things. So you might ask, what was the solution then? Well, this prepare environment can change this here to actually push to etc/environment. That will set the data from printenv into my environment etc, and that in turn makes it globally accessible for all users that logs into the system. So that's a much simpler solution. Another thing that I ran across was I couldn't really get the actual PHP to run in a Docker environment because this or run as a cron job. Because first off, this PHP here with Apache installs just the bare minimum that you need in order to have PHP as a module for Apache. So what I needed to do was, first off, I had this little flag here that says I want to run Debian frontend in a non-interactive mode. I don't want any dialogues because that's not really reasonable in a Docker file. I needed to set the rewrite rule in my Apache because I have an HTTP access file here to actually create the API. So every call that goes to a specific endpoint, in this case /v1, will go to my API. So that I needed to add in the Docker file. Then I needed to add all the different bullseye repositories to my sources list, because the sources list was very stripped down, so they didn't have the standard bullseye things. Then I did an update, an upgrade, and dist upgrade, and removed everything. So totally rebuilt this little Docker container, so I actually had all the functionality of Debian. Then I installed vget, GNU-pub, software properties common, and the CI certificates, LSB release, apt transport, HTTPS. And all of those things are just to get PHP up and running. I pushed the PHP keys into it and then added the PHP into a sources list here. So I actually have the full availability for all PHP versions here. I did an update again, and then I removed this file that they said, which is just don't install any new Debian PHP on the system. So I couldn't really install anything without removing the specific file because it was not available to me. And then I installed PHP 7.4, unzip, cron, tsetadata, and sudo, and these are just things that I needed to have in the system in order to run things. But you need to set the local time in order for the cron job to run in a good time zone and keep the date correctly in there. And I removed the API cache for some reason. After that, perhaps just to keep everything small. And then I copied my cron job over here and I put that into my cron tab. I copied the specific job that was running over here, and then I copied over this prepare script. now comes a really fun thing as well, and this is that this specific image, PHP Apache, is running in frontend. So it's actually running a command to start the Apache script as a front-end service. It's not a back-end service that you usually have in a Debian system. So as they run Apache in the front end, I needed to add something so I can actually run my things here. So first off, it looks for something called execute root, and then it will add my prepare script here, so that will be run. It will add the service cron start, and then it will put that exec back again. So that was what it was changed over here. So actually remove something and then replace it with this in this Apache foreground script, and that made both my start the actual cron job and also prepare the environment variables. And then I just copy over my code here. I have my bin scripts, which is the background process in this case. I have my include directory where I could put things that could be used by the API. And then I have my source directory that I will copy directly into HTML folder. So this is a little bit of a setup script, and I created it as a template if I ever want to do this setup again, so I don't need to figure out how to actually get this to work and actually get everything up and running again, because this was quite a hassle to actually find out. A lot of Googling, a lot of searching different repositories and so on to find out how should I change these different parameters in order to get something that runs in the background and also a front-end service that could handle PHP tasks either asynchronously or synchronously in the front end. So this was what I wanted to cover today. I hope that you found this interesting. I hope that you learned something today. If you like this specific setup and want to use it, feel free to do that. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave them down in the comment section down below. If you like this video, give it a like, share it with your friends and colleagues. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. And I really hope to see you in the next video.